Well, if it isn't Creative Assembly teasing a genuinely good thing for once. I'll cut straight to the chase. Total War Pharaoh is getting a massive update that will see the campaign map expand both to the east and the west, meaning we'll no longer just have Egypt, the Levant, and Anatolia to campaign in, but also Mesopotamia in the new easternmost part of the map, and Greece in the westernmost section. In other words, in terms of map size and our new overall region, Total War Pharaoh and Creative Assembly Sofia are actually determined to fulfill the wishes of historical players who have wanted a complete and all-encompassing Total War Bronze Age game, making this a very big deal indeed. Now in itself, this isn't a major breaking news. We knew this was going to happen ever since it was announced in an announcement a few months ago. But what is major is the fact that we now know development is well underway, and the fact that we even have a working minimap to visualize the changes on. Now this is awesome, because if there's one thing I love, it's maps, and seeing this entire thing for the first time is beautiful. However, I think the details are, if possible, just as interesting as an entirely new map. As of course a map on its own doesn't necessarily mean much. Even though Total War maps do not display visible hexes, thank the Lord, the map is nevertheless built on them, and Pharaoh's original map consists of exactly 1134 by 1648 such hexagons. You'll know what I mean if you've ever played a civilization game where the hexes can be displayed at all times. However, Pharaoh's new map is a whopping 2048 by 1648 hexes, meaning we have essentially almost double the amount of horizontal hexes, widening it significantly. You could probably already tell from the map itself, but this is important since it also tells us that this map will continue to be massive in real scale, not just in contained regions. This is further proven by the other figures we've been given. Pharaoh will go from offering 181 settlements on its map to 349, again almost a doubling of cities. If that's not enough, we go from 95 factions in the original campaign to a staggering 189 currently planned, which for the third time makes this campaign map twice as large as its first iteration. As a matter of fact, this will in many ways make Pharaoh one of the largest vanilla Total War games ever, over twice the amount of the upper hard-coded city limits in the largest mods for Rome and Medieval 2, for example. Now this is all great news. It's wonderful that we're getting a true Bronze Age representation of the complete Near East here, even one that includes Greece and the struggle between the factions there. That being said, I'm sure a ton of you wonder why this wasn't done before. Now let's say this expansion released in July or August. That will be roughly 9 to 10 months after Pharaoh's original release, for what essentially constitutes a completely new game, and for free at that, and for a Total War game whose price now has been lowered to $40. You'd assume it would have been better if Pharaoh was put on hold, if it was released just a year later for this truly full and complete package, in order to not just gain a ton more sales, but also to gain the love and admiration of the players. But that obviously didn't happen, so why? Well, according to CA Sofia itself, who I'm very much inclined to believe, the primary issue stopping this larger map's initial development was the engine itself. In making the current Egypt-focused map, their tools would only allow them to expand the map eastward, which would have included Mesopotamia, but not Greece, which a ton of people would probably have been upset with, myself included. Once that was out of the way, things luckily progressed, and even though I personally have no idea how little or how much work went into tackling the engine to allow for such a map expansion, which honestly you'd think would be easy if you have no knowledge of the engine, like myself, I'm really happy they managed to do it. Pharaoh does offer some decent mechanics after all, but a true Bronze Age setting, now with so much more varied terrain and factions and playability, is a lot more enticing than Pharaoh in its initial or even current state. Pharaoh might just get its place in the sun then, even though, and let's not sugarcoat this, it will be a Herculean effort to turn the perception of Total War players around and bring those player numbers up to what they should be for a game like this, which right now, I'm sure CA would love for those numbers to be at least 20 times higher than they are. What is seeing positive change is the game's review scores on Steam, however, whose latest average scores are suddenly in the high 70s, a marked shift from the overall review score in the low 60s. This, by the way, tracks right alongside players' reviews of CA's most recent other releases, namely the Warhammer 3 DLCs. CA did something new here, by the way. Instead of releasing one large DLC with 3 lords for one high price, they cut the DLC up, allowing you to purchase the individual lords at approximately, presumably, 1/3 of the price. Alongside the price drop of Pharaoh, CA has at the very least made a move to offer players better experiences for a lower cost, and that is a good thing. So does this mean that CA is in for a redemption arc overall? It's not too far-fetched of an idea, but I think we'll have to see what the long-term future holds to truly answer that. At least for now, CA seems to be doing a few things that they were seemingly unable to do before, like actually making the effort to better communicate with the players. CA Sofia stepping up already now, before the big update is even formally revealed with a trailer or a release date. This is a great way to change things up, and even with the recent AMA Sofia did, I like how much more on the ball they seem to be. I think what I'm looking the most forward to in terms of the Bronze Age expansion is twofold. I'm excited to see how different it will feel to play as the Mesopotamians, to rule a kingdom far to the east, experience their geography and wonders, and see how their mechanics will differ. The same goes for the Greeks in the west. Obviously, we have more experience with them since they were already featured in Troy, but the question will be whether they will be one-for-one ports, or whether they'll feature new mechanics or features as well. I'm also excited to see how this map will scale in comparison to Troy, namely how many cities and factions we can expect in Greece at this time compared to Troy, where Greece and Western Anatolia was everything there was. In addition, CA isn't the only one working on Pharaoh. Modders like Ganossa have continued to work on Pharaoh throughout it all, and if you're still interested in the game or are planning to pick it up when the time comes, I highly recommend checking out his Agony mod. Not only does it seek to unlock every faction and make them playable, but it rebalances a whole ton of stuff. And importantly, and my favorite aspect of the mod, introduces a population system that changes how you go about recruitment and warfare. It truly is a massively great mod with so many more changes than what I've mentioned here, and it's like I said, continuously being worked on by its creator. So do expect even further changes down the line as the new campaign update releases as well. As for myself, I do wish the best for Pharaoh. And I do in fact wish the very best for CA as well, Sofia in particular, whom I feel like have done the best with what they've got. This coming update shows at the very least that they have the passion and the willingness to bring the best product they can deliver within the framework of the Total War engine, even to the point of declaring Total War on it itself in order to simply be able to expand the map westward, which again is a weird thing to think about needing to be a challenge. When all is said and done though, it's going to be up to CA Sofia to finish what they started with Pharaoh, to create a true Bronze Age Total War that can stand the test of time, and one that doesn't end up like mere mostly rejected footnotes in Total War history like Thrones of Britannia and Troy. But even for the latter, Troy did in my opinion become a truly great title with the Mythos expansion. So if this Bronze Age version could accomplish the same for Pharaoh, that'd be awesome. And frankly, I wouldn't say no to a Pharaoh Mythos version either, especially because I sorely need some more unit variety in this Bronze Age era, but maybe that's just me. Let me know what you think of Total War Pharaoh, the coming Bronze Age expansion, and CA's recent actions to improve relations with players, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Join the Discord as well, why don't you? And come discuss Total War and so many other things with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.